Okay, so what if I told you there's a skill out there that's basically becoming a modern-day superpower? And here's the crazy part. It's getting rarer at the exact same time it's becoming more valuable. Today, we're going to dive into this idea from Cal Newport's incredible book, Deep Work. It's pretty much a guide to how you can actually thrive in this super chaotic, distracted world we're all living.
So, does this sound familiar to you? You sit down, you're ready to work on something really important, and boom! Within minutes, your attention is just shattered. You're getting hit with emails, notifications are popping up, and the internet is just calling your name. It's a feeling we all know, right? Well, that state of constant distraction, it actually has a name.
All right, so let's meet the villain of our story. It's called shallow work. Just think of all that busy work that crams our days, Answering emails, sitting in meetings that could have been an email, endlessly scrolling through feeds. Yeah, these tasks keep us busy, but they don't really push us, and they don't create anything of real lasting value. You can think of them as the junk food of our brains.
And boy, are we consuming a lot of it. Get this. A McKinsey study found that the average knowledge worker spends more than 60% of their week on these shallow tasks. And you got to remember, that study was from 2012. Can you even imagine what that number looks like today? So, what's the alternative?
Well, this is our hero. Deep work. It is the exact opposite. It's that state of mind when you're so locked in on a single challenging task that everything else just fades away. This is where the magic happens. This is where you have breakthroughs, where you build real skill, and where the work that actually matters gets done.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. Deep work adds something new to the world. It builds your skills, it creates things that wouldn't exist without you. Shallow work? That's mostly just shuffling things around. It's easy to copy, easy to outsource, and let's be real, in the age of AI, it's really easy to automate. And that distinction, it's absolutely crucial.
And listen, this is not some newfangled productivity hack. The greatest minds in history, they've always gotten this. The psychiatrist Carl Jung literally built a stone tower in the woods to get away from it all. Mark Twain, he hid out in a shed to write. Woody Allen wrote 44 films on a manual typewriter, on purpose to avoid any electronic distractions. And even now you've got Bill Gates in his famous Think Weeks, where he just goes to a cottage to read and think. See, they all intentionally engineered their lives for this kind of deep focus.
So this all leads to the core idea of the book, what Cal Newport calls the deep work hypothesis. Let's break it down. It's pretty simple. As our world gets noisier and more distracted, the ability to actually focus becomes super rare. And since deep work is what creates real value, that rare skill becomes incredibly valuable. The bottom line is this: if you can master the skill, you are going to thrive.
So why? Why is it so valuable? Well, it's because our economy today really rewards two things. One, the ability to master hard things fast. And two, the ability to produce at an elite level. We're talking top quality and top speed. And the engine that powers both of those things? You guessed it, deep work. Let me give you a really powerful example of this in action. Okay, so this is Jason Ben. He started out as a financial consultant, making about 40 grand a year. But pretty quickly, he realized something absolutely terrifying about his job. He figured out that almost everything he did could be automated with a simple script. He was the poster child for a shallow worker. He even admitted that some days he'd spend pretty much his entire workday just surfing the web. He knew, deep down, that his skills were replaceable, and that if he didn't do something big and do it fast, he was in trouble.
So what did he do? He quit his job and decided to become a software developer. But to pull it off, he had to completely retrain his brain. He locked himself in a room with nothing but textbooks and note cards. No computer, zero distractions. For 2 solid months, he just forced himself into deep work, tearing through 18 super dense programming books. And after all that, he didn't just pass a tough coding boot camp, he finished at the top of his class.
And the result of all that hard work? He landed a developer job, making over $100,000 a year. Think about that. He more than doubled his salary in under a year. And not because he was working more hours, but because he completely changed how he worked. He swapped out shallowness for depth, and the payoff was huge. And his story just perfectly illustrates this simple formula. The quality of the work you produce isn't just about the time you spend. It's the time you spend multiplied by your intensity of focus. By going deep, Jason cranked that intensity dial all the way up, and his value just skyrocketed. Okay, so this brings up a huge paradox, right? If deep work is so incredibly valuable, why does it feel like our modern workplaces are designed to destroy it? I mean, think about it. Open floor plans, constant instant messages, demanding an answer right now, the pressure to always be on social media,
All of these things are the sworn enemies of deep focus.
It's a really good question, isn't it? It feels like we're all working against our own best interests. So why? Why are we so eager to embrace distraction when we know that focus is where the real value is?
Well, Newport points to a few main reasons. First, there's what he calls the metric black hole. Basically, it's hard to put a number on the cost of distraction, so companies just kind of ignore it. Then there's the principle of least resistance. I mean, it's always easier to fire off a quick email than to start a really hard project, right? And my personal favorite is busyness as a proxy for productivity, where we act like being seen to be busy is the same as actually doing important work. It's these kinds of flawed ideas that are pushing us all towards the shallow end.
But here's the thing. The payoff for resisting this push towards shallowness, it's way bigger than just your career or your paycheck. This is where the whole idea gets really deep, no pun intended. Deep work isn't just about getting more done. It's about living a more meaningful life. The science writer Winifred Gallagher said it perfectly. Who you are is the sum of what you focus on. Think about that. If your attention is always splintered between a chaotic inbox and a bunch of trivial stuff, your life is going to feel, well, chaotic and trivial. But if you can spend big chunks of your time deeply focused on meaningful, challenging things, your whole perception of your life starts to change. It feels more important.
And there's a psychological reason for this too. Deep work is basically the key to unlocking that state we call flow. You know the feeling, when you're so into what you're doing that you completely lose track of time and the work just feels effortless. All the research shows that those moments of flow are when we human beings are at our happiest. So a life with more deep work is literally a life with more happiness and satisfaction.
So really, the main takeaway is this. Learning how to go deep isn't just some career hack to make more money. It's a strategy for living a better, more fulfilling life. Like Cal Newport says, a deep life is a good life. It's where professional value and personal meaning finally meet. And that leaves us with one last big question for you to think about. We talked about how Carl Jung built a literal stone tower to protect his focus. So in this world that is constantly trying to shatter your attention into a million little pieces, what are you going to build? What's your balling in tower?